Hi, my name is Tammy, and I'm a self-proclaimed football-holic and overall sports enthusiast. If it has a ref with a whistle, a big shiny trophy, and maybe some jewelry at the end, then it must be a sport, and I'm all in. Welcome to Fan the Flame Sports, a show that highlights the fun of sports, not just the facts. Each week, Fan the Flame will talk about games and players that were on fire and others that didn't even spark our attention. We will talk about sports reporters and their dumbest questions of the week. And because sports are no fun without friends, Fan the Flame will feature party ideas and beer and food pairings that will make your next tailgate or game day party a smoking success. Games we watched. I suffered my first loss this week because of the Patriots at Bills. Bills win over the Pats 34-31. As you remember, I picked the Patriots for the win over the Bills this week. And if you look at both teams' stats side by side, you would say New England beat New York. But the most glaring and game-changing stat of all was the record high for interceptions Tom Brady had. This win snapped the Bills' 15-game winless streak against the Patriots. Now everyone will tell you Ryan Fitzpatrick was a man, but with 4 interceptions on Tom Brady and that amazing Patriots offense, credit for the win goes to the Bills' defense. And here's where I would have loved to hear from the Bills' DBs at a press conference. Now everyone will tell you Ryan Fitzpatrick was a man, but with 4 interceptions on Tom Brady and that amazing Patriots offense, credit for the win goes to the Bills defense. And here's where I would have loved to hear from the Bills DBs at a press conference. New York Jets at Oakland. Oakland hands the Jets their first loss this Sunday, 34-24. I picked the Raiders to win this one. This was probably my most favorite win this week. 2 years ago, when the Jets played in Oakland, the Jets destroyed the Raiders with their biggest loss at home of 38-0. And in the closing minutes of the game, Jets quarterback Mark Sanchez is caught on camera scarfing down a hot dog on the sidelines. Well, the Raiders, as everyone knows, never forgets a big loss, and that's a lot to remember. And they didn't let Mark Sanchez forget either. The Raiders defense left their calling card all over Jets quarterback by breaking his nose on one of 4 sacks in the second half. Raiders running back McFadden had another game of over 150 yards, and the offensive line provided plenty of running space for him to move the ball. Green Bay at Chicago. Green Bay Packers win over the Chicago Bears 27-17. Here are a couple fun facts about this game. Did you know Bears quarterback Jay Cutler came into this game with 11 sacks of the season and ended Sunday with 14? That's an average of 3.5 sacks per game. Another fun fact, like I called it last week, A.J. Hawk and Clay Matthews became Matt Forte's new BFFs, holding him to an anemic 0.2 yards per carry rushing. Forte did do better receiving with an average of 11.4 yards. But really, this isn't about how bad the Bears look. It is all about how great the Packers still look coming off a Super Bowl winning season with already 3-0 record. Alright, games to watch this week. There are tons of great games to be watched every week, but I like to highlight a few just in case you don't have an understanding husband like I do, who lets me sit around all day Sunday and watch football. New England and Oakland. So far this season, these two teams match up pretty close. So I want to see who is the real deal. My pick is going to Oakland. Yes, I am picking Oakland again. There's so much to be said for momentum on this game that is played with passion, and the Raiders are on fire, especially after the beatdown they gave the other East Coast team on Sunday. The Raiders have a bad memory about some tuck rule, I guess. They say it cost them the Super Bowl or something. Raiders, you better bring it this week and prove to everyone that the silver and black is back. Detroit at Dallas. Quarterback Matt Stafford and Detroit Lions have put on a great show for the Detroit's dedicated. However, even though they were 3-0, the Lions' playlist of opponents didn't look that tough. While Detroit's opponents have been Tampa Bay, Kansas City, and Minnesota, which, by the way, between the 3 teams only have 2 wins, the Dallas opponent lineup was the Jets, 49ers, and Redskins. However, just like the Raiders needing to prove something this Sunday, the Lions are in the same boat. Former Vikings wide receiver Cris Carter, who is now an analyst for ESPN, has criticized wide receiver Calvin Johnson, saying the only way he will ever be an elite receiver in the NFL is on a video game. Quarterback Matt Stafford tweeted on Tuesday, "Does anyone think 8 touchdowns in 4 weeks will change Cris Carter's mind about an elite receiver?" So with more drama than Jersey Shore, my pick is Detroit Lions and Calvin Johnson, aka Megatron, for the win. New York Jets at Baltimore. Jets are coming off a loss to the Raiders. Hall of Famer Joe Namath is doing a verbal slapdown on Coach Rex. Plus, offensive center Mangold may still be out with an injury. I just can't resist choosing Baltimore for the win on this one. You have rookie wide receiver Torrey Smith making his second NFL debut. Last week, 5 catches at 157 yards. Let's not forget about Ray Rice, who's still making plays as both a wide receiver and running back. And let's not forget the mighty impressive defensive team of Lewis and Suggs. The Jets' Darrelle Revis, NFL's #1 cornerback, was a non-factor in the Raiders game last week, which proves that he can be covered. Moving on to Major League Baseball. Every division had a cliffhanger waiting until Wednesday to see what team advances to the postseason. In the American League, the playoffs begin September 30th, and it's Detroit at New York Yankees. It's Tampa Bay at Texas, and in the National League, playoffs begin October 1st with St. Louis at Philadelphia and Arizona at Milwaukee. National Hockey League is in preseason right now, but I have these friends, Tommy Joe, Kathy, and Tammy, who never leave the sport. They attend preseason touch the puck events, postseason we'll get them next year events. They Facebook about the current season and where they're going to watch the game. These ladies are true fans of the LA Kings. I call them the Queens of Kings Hockey. Hopefully they'll find time during the season to help me out with all things hockey. So ladies, give me a call, message me on our Fan the Flame Facebook page. Let's talk ice. Okay, we're going to be introducing a new segment. It's about UFC and other MMA organizations. This is another sport I'm not so familiar with. I do watch Ultimate Fighter and Fight Night on Spike. However, Fan the Flame Sports does have a resident expert, Martin DeVille, our own MMA analyst, who will be keeping us informed on one of the fastest growing sports. Hi Marty.
How you doing, Tammy?
Good.
Good to see you.
So glad you're here. Let's go ahead and start with the first question that everybody wants to know is how did you get involved in MMA?
When I was a kid, my dad had this special little box that you got free pay-per-view on. And we were just flipping around the channels and we saw these two big guys just beating each other up kind of a thing. And we're, oh, you know, what's going on with this? And it was the old Roland Van Wolf days, walking around with one boxing glove on. And we thought it was pretty cool, but it was still more in the barbaric stages, so I wasn't completely sold on it. Years later, I was at a poker game with a couple of my friends, and I met a gentleman who had some focus mitts on him. And I asked him if he fought, and he said, yeah. And I was like, you know, do you mind if I tag along with you next time? And he was all for it. He's like, yeah, you know, I train over here. And I didn't think he thought I was going to show up, because once I got there, he was like, oh, this guy's actually here. And ever since then, I've just fallen in love with the sport. I got beat up by some kid that was about 50 pounds less than me. And I was thinking to myself, whatever this kid knows is what I want to know. So.
That's awesome. Okay, now my next question is, if you're a beginner or a new fan to the sport, where's the best place to learn the basics?
There's a couple of good places. If you were to go to a place like Budo Videos, or if you wanted to go online, you know, do some research, you can even YouTube a lot of instruction. If you're looking to start training with people, you want to go to, like, you can go to like websites and look up different MMA spots. There's a lot of good coaches, especially here in Southern California. CSW with Eric Paulson is really high level. You got New Breed, you got, you know, your Sub Fighter. Actually, right now there's another new camp that just opened up, California Combat Club with Danny Suarez. He just moved up from Laguna Niguel. And then if you're more South County, you go to Club or Team Rain, which is Mark Munoz and a lot of other really high quality fighters.
Wow, so the sport's growing.
Yes, it's growing tremendously fast.
How does somebody become professional?
Well, a valid professional or somebody that is going to survive in this sport, you do need to train for years. Typically, you want to have some kind of a big background. It's a lot of dedication. Anybody can show up and actually fight and be considered a professional. A lot of these King of the Cage cards, they'll put on 20 to 30 fights. A lot of the guys that fight on those cards, though, don't really have any experience. They're just $200 short on rent, so they decided to show up for the weekend. I wouldn't suggest them going in with somebody trained at a place, you know, like one of those aforementioned spots that I talked about, as, you know, there's a good chance they'll wind up getting hurt by some of these guys.
Okay. What fighters are coming up that are must-watch events? What can you share with us to be looking for? Actually,
this weekend there are some really good fights, and they're free. UFC's putting on a free live card. The main event is it's Dominic Cruz against Demetrius Johnson. Dominic Cruz has been dominating everyone. His sole loss came to Uriah Faber a few years back, which he just avenged. I mean, he dispatched to him pretty well. You know, he also took on Joseph Benavidez and Brian Bowles, which those guys are all very high quality fighters. Not to take anything away from Demetrius Johnson, he is 9-1. He's a very good and likable guy. He beat Kid Yamamoto. He beat Miguel Torres. I'm sorry, but this is really going to be a different type of test for him. Dominick Cruz is a very good ground game. He's good anti-wrestling, and he's also got incredible striking. He never gets tired. He doesn't fade, so he's got his hands full. Other than that, I mean, Stefan Struve's fighting Pat Barry. I think this fight is more about Pat Barry. Stefan Struve, he's at a point in his career where he's still kind of a gatekeeper to people that are under the main card, but their names really haven't been released. And Struve, for whatever reason, Europeans love him and Americans really are taken to him as well. So this is going to be a fight for Perry to prove that, you know, he can manage a well-rounded fighter. As in the past, you know, he's beaten people like Beltran and Hardon who were kind of one-dimensional, but guys that really do everything, put everything together, like Cheick Kongo and Mirko Cro Cop, you know, those guys are well-rounded fighters, and he hasn't been able to figure those people out. So this is going to be kind of like his test. The biggest fight that I'm looking forward to this weekend is another fight on the other card. It's Anthony Johnson against Charlie Brenneman. That fight is going to be awesome. I don't know how much everybody knows about Charlie Brenneman. He's kind of a no-name. He came in off of, I believe it was about 3 weeks notice to beat Rick Story. And anybody knows Rick Story. Rick Story is an amazing talent. He's a super well-rounded fighter. Brenneman came in, dominated his wrestling, out-cardioed him, and just looked amazing. I mean, this fight is going to be, you know, off the wall. And Anthony Johnson, you know, he's been beating people up, like Dan Hardy, he beat Yoshiyuki Yoshida. Yep. But the last explosive wrestler that he's faced, like Charlie Brenneman, was Josh Koscheck, who just weared him out and got him tired. I mean, this guy cuts 20, 25 pounds for a fight. He walks close to 200 pounds when, you know, when he's not training. Dropping all that weight, he hasn't been able to keep up with like the hardcore cardio guys, and that's what Brenneman is. Brenneman's just got cardio for days. So I think this is more or less Dana testing him to see if he's ready to go to that next level of cardio and like superiority in MMA.
What channels? Where can you find
I believe this one's going to be on. I think this one's going to be on Versus. Okay. If it's not on Versus, it's on Spike. But yeah, it's going to be a free fight. I believe the fight starts at 7 o'clock.
Are they all in one fight card?
They are going to be on one fight card. All 3 of those fights are going to be main card. A lot of the people in the undercard are going to be there, but it's not. You're not a guaranteed show. There's 2 other fights that are airing, but those are the ones of real interest right now.
Awesome. Thank you, Marty, so much. I can't wait to have you back. You were fantastic.
No problem. Thank you for your time.
Thanks. Okay, Sports Reporter's Dumbest Questions. As of last night, I didn't have a question that was worth mentioning. However, I was watching ESPN just a little while ago, and I heard it. It was the worst question I've heard all season long. And the question was towards Peyton Manning, and the reporter wanted to know if Peyton Manning was scared about his future. Really? How do you think he feels? You're asking this guy who can't even turn his neck, who's considering going across the pond to get alternative surgeries to fix his neck, something that is actually genetic in his family and could be career-ending. If he's scared, what a sensitive guy you are. Hot deals on jerseys and fan gear. I found a website that shows professional sports jerseys starting at $17.99. It's NFLJerseysBay.com. They carry all kinds of fan gear, and here's a tip for you ladies out there. If you don't want to spend the high ticket price on a jersey, go to the children's section. They have wearable fan gear and all sorts of shapes and sizes that'll fit you. Everything Brett. This segment is dedicated to my favorite NFL player of all time, Brett Favre. This stat is for all those players who show up to work every week, injured, battered, and bruised, because you respect the fan. Brett Favre holds the record for consecutive starts as a quarterback at 285 regular season games, 309 including playoffs. I want to thank you for viewing another webcast of Fan the Flame Sports. Our next webcast will be in 2 weeks from now on October 13th. I'll be on vacation. Please share our Facebook page with all your sports family and friends. Go team!